Hey you guys, it's your girl Internet, and today we come at you with a video, and it's called NYC is so dangerous, no one can live here. That is just sad to say that no one can even live there because it's so dangerous, and then it's so many immigrants coming in there. It's so many gang violence. They can't buy anything because the stores are constantly getting, stole from. It's just so much that goes on in NYC. Like, it's just so much. And it's just sad that no one can even live there. And I know the people that do live there, they are so freaking scared. Like, they just want to move. And then some people, they can't even move because they're just stuck there. But we're going to check out this video. But don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Turn your notifications on so you can see me. And let's get into this video.
The NYPD announcing another major crackdown. There will now be checkpoints at the bridges, tunnels, and major roadways to confiscate illegal scooters.
Golly.
Of illegal scooters.
So here we have another moped-related crackdown. This one comes after a gang member assaulted the police while riding one. But this is the second crackdown in as many months, suggesting that this new wave of crime foreign to our city streets is not only here to stay, but is growing.
Some might call that the sweet sound of justice, the crunching of more than 200 illegal mopeds.
There's murderers on these bikes, there are shooters on these bikes, robbers on these bikes, reckless drivers.
Yeah, the mopeds have gotten out of control. Bad guys have been utilizing them, again, as escape vehicles. They're using them to sneak up on victims. They've committed robberies, burglaries, assaults.
One example happened just this week. Police say it happened after they were addressing a robbery pattern and tried to pull over the suspect on a scooter, headed the wrong way.
We removed more than 41,000 illegal motorized scooters, mopeds, ATVs, 41,000.
The criminal population has been...
That be my thing. Now, they can get guns. They can get mopeds. They can get all this stuff. But yet steal, but yet try to kill people or whatever, harm people. But they can't get a freaking house or at least move to an area out of New York. Like, that don't make sense to me. You can do all this, but you can't get somewhere to actual stay. You still living in a shelter, some of you guys, and probably on the street. You can get clothes, you can get all of that. Expensive stuff. How you gonna be homeless with an ATV or a cycle? One of them little mopeds. I'm poor and I can't even get a bike.
emboldened. I mean, it stems from defund the police. They want to resist arrest. They want to fight off police officers.
So now, as these illegal vehicles get crushed, the city hopes so too do plans to commit more crime.
God.
Another crackdown on mopeds has just taken place, and it won't be the last. Because what nobody's talking about is that just 2 years ago, New York City didn't have moped crime, which means somehow this crime wave has suddenly come upon us, and it doesn't look like it's gonna go away anytime soon. Critics will point to the asylum crisis, which has seen 200,000 people pass through New York City, with many new arrivals unable to work unless it's a delivery job that requires a moped, and someone else's rented identity. Which is why up until recently, every shelter in the city had a sea of illegal mopeds parked out front, but not so fast. Recent crackdowns have meant that these bikes have gotten into compliance, with pretty much all of them now having license plates. And the explanations for this rise in moped crime might be much simpler. We're in a down economy with sky-high inflation and a lousy job market in a progressive city that doesn't punish theft. Are we really supposed to believe that all of those problems combined with a lawless environment won't result in a crime wave? Not to mention the police, every time they arrest a criminal, the charges get dropped and that criminal gets released, leaving local law enforcement with only one option if they can't crush the criminals who steal our iPhones and handbags while riding mopeds, maybe they can just crush the mopeds instead, which is what they're trying to do, although that's not working. Which is why it's no surprise that we're now on Moped Crackdown number 2. And the real reason we've got this crime wave is because even though the city says they don't want it, the laws here encourage it. Because if the cops take your moped, you can just buy another one for $1,200. There's no requirement that you need to register it at the time you buy it, and if $1,200 is too much for you, just visit any shelter in town and hotwire another one. This is what keeps happening. This is why the problem is growing, and it's why what the thieves are now doing with these mopeds keeps getting worse. So here we are at the local moped jail, which is full of every illegal vehicle the police can get their hands on. Many of these vehicles are just too illegal to have on the road to begin with. Others should have been registered, they weren't, that's why they're in jail now. And others were used to commit much more serious types of crime.
They got a lot of bikes.
NYPD announcing another major crackdown. The mayor saying there will now be checkpoints at the bridges, tunnels, and major roadways to confiscate illegal scooters.
So you might be wondering if these chariots of doom are the perfect vehicles for criminals and they can weave in and out of traffic and go really fast and go the wrong way. How do police get them? Well, the crackdowns that result in these things being confiscated happen in one of two ways. First way that it happens is when someone is going over the bridge. You are not supposed to ride your moped, which is gas powered, on the bridge. That's for pedal vehicles only, yet people do it all the time. Police can easily set up a checkpoint at the bottom of the bridge and stop you when you get off. It's a very narrow path, it's hard to escape. And many of the times when police confiscate an illegal vehicle, they find other things. Perhaps the bike has been modified in a way that makes it completely unsafe. Maybe it doesn't have a license plate when it's supposed to, or maybe the driver doesn't have a license, which he's supposed to. Under the seat, maybe something is hidden that the driver should not possess. There's a lot of what ifs, but this basic action, enforcing regular traffic laws and an obvious violation, riding a moped over the bridge, police say this is working. And that's good, because this is a relatively new type of crime that is exploding in veracity.
Yeah, the mopeds have gotten out of control. Bad guys have been utilizing them, again, as escape vehicles. They're using them to sneak up on victims. If you've been in New York City lately, you've seen the mopeds are traveling the wrong way on streets, on the sidewalks, and not just criminals. We're talking about like regular delivery people.
So you heard it there, moped crime. It looks totally foreign to New York City because this wasn't something that was happening just 2 years ago. But over the last couple of years, the number of mopeds in the city has exploded. Yes, they're used by asylum seekers, but that's not the problem. The problem is the bad guys see delivery riders and normal everyday people breaking pretty much every law in the books on these things. And let's say you're a criminal. If you're looking for ways to break the law and you see other people breaking the law and getting away with it in the most obvious of methods, riding the wrong way or riding on the sidewalk, you're gonna think to yourself, gee, I could do that and get away with it too. Proving that allowing a lawless environment to exist fosters crime and emboldens those who wish to cause the rest of us harm. And this type of crime is so out of control that even the city's dumbest, stupidest criminals will eventually figure out they can get their own moped with 0 plates and use it to ride around and rob people.
Yeah, the criminal population has been emboldened. I mean, it stems from defund the police. They want to resist arrest. They want to fight off police officers. They want to take off on these mopeds. We've seen videos of police officers trying to apprehend them, and they're just taking off, endangering the public.
So obviously, it's not the moped that's the problem. It's the rider on the moped. It's the felon flying around on these things that thinks he can do whatever he wants. And let's be honest.
I like the way he did that. He was like, oh, it's not the moped. It's the people on the moped. Duh! Like, duh, yeah. We kind of got that part. The moped is operated by them. He kind of forgot.
The only way this problem could get so out of hand, with thousands of these things riding around, committing hundreds of traffic violations and breaking hundreds of rules every hour of the day, is just general lack of enforcement. That's the only way. And New Yorkers upset about rising moped crime would do well to decide to fund their police department so that the police would have more resources to catch these criminals and get these things off the streets. And what you're looking at, this lawless, out-of-hand situation, it's only because the police are understaffed. Had there been more police on the streets, you could have checkpoints at every bridge every day. You could conduct sweeps of areas of the city where these things are normally parked to check registrations and see if license plates match the bikes they're actually attached to. Yet at the same time, all of this is going on, and we're all witnesses to it with our own two eyes. Criminal sympathizers in our midst keep telling us that crime is down. This is all made up. It's just a farce. But tell that to the 2 officers who went to the hospital last week after trying to stop a gang member who was riding one of these.
Officials say that not only are these vehicles illegal or unregistered, but they're also used often in the committing of crimes. 19-year-old Bernardo Raul Castromata was arraigned this morning. Police say it happened after they were addressing a robbery pattern and tried to pull over the suspect on a scooter.
So there you go. Every crime in the book, all in one scene. The suspect was part of a gang, they had a weapon, and they were riding a moped while breaking traffic laws. Had the police not been prevented from enforcing basic traffic laws in the past, this gentleman may not have been as emboldened as he once was, which caused him not only to break the law, but also to attack the police because he felt entitled to breaking the law. And when you let laws go unenforced for as long as we have here in the city, it should be no surprise that criminals feel upset and are offended when the police confiscate.
I wonder, do they be just that angry just to think they can do whatever they want to do? Like, people really have that mentality to just really just do what they want to do, knowing that they breaking the law, and then when someone tell them you're breaking the law, you finna go to jail, they get a whole attitude. That's just so, ironic to me. It kind of is. Like, you know what you're doing, you don't care, now you want to get mad. Okay.
Skate their illegal bikes. But this brings up a big question. If the problem of moped crime is out of control now, and these criminals are now so numerous and so pervasive that they're giving NYC's finest a run for their money, what can our city do to get these criminals off the streets and into the back of these police cars where they belong? Or is it already too late?
Authorities say they are also being used by food delivery workers.
We will be bringing in all of the delivery companies, our restaurants, our bids, to tell them they have to also police themselves. No one should be delivering from a restaurant on an illegal scooter.
The mayor also
they shouldn't
targeting
be on an illegal one.
We're getting somewhere. That could have a positive impact on this massive problem. A problem much bigger than the gang that was operating across New York, New Jersey, and Miami, where the leader was arrested just a couple of months ago. But the first and most obvious question here is, why are delivery workers using illegal vehicles to earn a living? Maybe they're using them because they're faster and cheaper than any other alternative. Or perhaps the owners of these vehicles are unaware of the rules. They bought them and didn't know they were supposed to register them or have a license. Both of those could be true, but the more likely option is that this is just the cheapest, fastest way to go places. After all, these things are gas-powered. You can just park them on the street and leave them on the side of the road until you need to get it. But with a battery-powered bike, you can't really do that. This thing will be dead if you don't charge it up every day or so. But despite the convenience that's at stake here, a crackdown focused on how delivery companies, delivery apps, restaurants use these things or allow people to use them, that might really work. Because every delivery rider in town is hooked up to Uber Eats or Grubhub. The driver's got the phone app. It has GPS. That means Uber Eats can tell how long it takes for you to get from point A to point B. And it'll be obvious if you're on your journey to make some sort of delivery and you're reaching speeds that are far and above what your bike should be capable of. The app could always shut you down until you verify that whatever it is you're riding is valid, registered, and legal. Would that make things tougher for app companies? Yes. Would it make things tougher for people at the bottom of the city's economic ladder? Yes, it would. That's unfortunate. But there might be an even simpler way to get these things off the streets before they even hit the streets, yet the city's dragged. So as you can see, quite a few mopeds still roaming around on the street, out there doing whatever they want. Let's assume these license plates on these bikes are real, but there's a way to make sure that they're all legitimate bikes, legally registered, before before they hit the streets, not after.
Because it would require either the dealer or the retailer to register a moped. Now, we've all seen it. A rider on a moped blowing past a red light or even going the wrong way on a street without a license plate.
Right, that's the issue. For some reason, you can buy a motor vehicle in this city and drive it around without any lawful obedience. You can't do that with a car. With these bikes, you can buy one and drive it away, and you're supposed to go get it in compliance later, I guess. And a system that lets people get away with breaking the law and tells them to go obey it later is never gonna work. Yet for some reason, this law hasn't passed yet, even though it was introduced in October of last year. Apparently, this thing has passed the Senate. Now it just needs to go to the governor for her signature, which would be nice because right now there's no accountability for how these are used. And look at this battle van over here. It might cost less than some of these mopeds, but even it's in compliance. It's got a plate, and you can't blame criminals for committing crimes on these mopeds if they can tell that obviously the city doesn't take their enforcement seriously. And the reason they've been the perfect getaway vehicles for criminals for a long time is not only, again, can they drive really quickly where they're not supposed to, we don't even know who's riding these things. No plate, the person's wearing a helmet, they're covered up. Anybody could be on these.
The legislation is modeled after the current law of regular four-wheeled vehicles. If the unregistered riders followed the law, everyone would be better off.
It's just unsafe in the long run. It's putting...
You know, that seems so basic, yet it's probably part of the reason why the illegal proliferation of these has been happening. Now, of course, these laws won't stop you from going to New Jersey, buying a moped, and then riding it back here across the bridge. But as more and more of these are brought into compliance, the nail that sticks out will get hammered. And if your bike doesn't have a plate, police are going to see it and something's going to go wrong. But the real question here is if this passes, is the city even going to enforce it? For example, in this city, we've got 3.5-year minimums if you're found with a firearm, yet most of the time those charges get dropped when someone's caught with a firearm. And that's the thing. If we pass a law, but then everybody who gets apprehended under it, if the judges and DA drop the charges, downgrade the charges, basically erase any record that a crime was committed, we're still going to have all of the exact same types of crime. Plus, you can steal these and just take the plates off. Or better yet, just keep the plate on it. Now it's registered.
We see it a lot, like in countries like Brazil. These perps are not immune to looking at...
So their plates that's on the moped ain't like the cars when, you know, you have to have like a certain VIN number and all like that and stuff. Like you have to have like the address and all like that. That's not how the plates work on the mopeds, because even if they steal they plates and just put on your plate, I mean, it's still could be like that could be a way they could fix it. That if they not doing that, just have it registered to like their house or whatever like that, their shelter or what and stuff, and then have like the same VIN number. Do mopeds have VIN numbers like ours? I don't know.
What is useful, what's successful in other countries. They have mopeds all over the city that you can rent. They don't even have to own them. They can rent them and they can dump them whenever they need it. So it's accessible. So why not?
Okay, this brings up another issue that's worth examining, because a lot of times the person riding one of these isn't the person who owns it, and they wouldn't be the person who's tied to the registration and the license plate on the vehicle. And this is why you see so many bikes outside the shelters. They're actually part of a scheme to allow people to work without work authorization. The way it works is somebody who wants a job can go to the owner of the bike and rent from them the bike itself, along with an Uber Eats account that they can work under. And let me ask you a question. If someone borrows your moped and then commits a crime with it, or maybe even if they run a red light, do you want to get tied back to that? No. Of course not, which is why there's such an incentive to try and hide from the law when you're using these. He was going the wrong way. And sadly, this brings us to the point in our story where we have to realize that the city has no way of stopping these bikes. So look at this little chart here on the DMV website. Every class of moped, even the really slow ones, you're all required to have a driver's license, and then some, like the really fast ones that we're looking at today, these all require a motorcycle license. Plus, look at this, they all have insurance requirements for the most part. And the problem with this new law is that even though it might prevent the sale of these things when they're not registered, it's gonna be pretty hard to ask the criminal underworld in this city to give up its profit from renting these things out, which they've gotten used to doing because we don't enforce crime here.
When they get arrested, they get released. They tell their other friends, their other bad guy friends, I was just collared for a robbery and I was released today. So again, the criminal element has been emboldened. They believe that everything is working for them.
And that right there is the other issue. We've got these criminals that are just so emboldened because they've been getting away with everything for so long that if we try to stop them, or if we stop a few of them and then give up, what good is that gonna do? And I'll tell you right now, if everybody caught riding an illegal bike spent a couple of days in jail, this would go away overnight. But I don't think the city has the heart to do that, because if they did, they would have been enforcing these laws, issuing fines, issuing citations and tickets since day one when this started to become a problem. But the real reason it is a problem, and the real reason it's continuing to grow, is because our city just doesn't want to put people in jail for doing something wrong. Instead, we'd rather look for the root causes of crime, so much so that when criminals get in the way of what we're looking for, we tell them to sit down and get out of the way. And I'll tell you something right now, there's probably people who would blame moped crime on everything else other than the criminal who was riding the moped and who injured those police officers.
Right.
Yet New York's proven it's obviously capable of enforcing its traffic laws that apply to vehicles. Every single one of them has a license plate. Every single one of them can be tracked. If there's an accident and it's caught on camera, you can identify what the vehicle was. You can possibly even see who the driver was. And people don't tend to drive unregistered illegal vehicles without driver's licenses, because we all know that's a big no-no, and we all know that's going to wind you up in a world of legal trouble if you try to do it and get caught. Which you probably will. Is New York City going to be able to catch enough moped criminals to get ahead of this crime wave, or is it already ahead of us? Is there no going back? And is this here to stay? Let me know what you think. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.
I felt like the moped, because the title was like, it's so dangerous we can't live here. But the thing of it is, like with those mopeds, the people just able to get away from the police a little bit quicker than on their feet. That's about like it. Other than that, like, yeah, there's easier ways for them to get the moped. But I feel like that title was just like a little clickbait to me. That was it. But and I get that because it got me too. But yeah, like the moped, it's the people. And the moped just give them access like cars. Like when people steal cars and stuff, people just gonna be dangerous. They really are. I mean, especially you don't know these people. These people just out there to steal, do harm, and destroy. That's all they trying to do. They not trying to do nothing more. And the people that is trying to actually do something, they making it hard for them. They really are. They are making it hard for them. Especially the people that's doing like the Uber Eats and all like that. They're making it hard for them, so they can't even have a job. Because I'm pretty sure they don't want to walk like 10 blocks trying to deliver these people their food. And they can just get a moped. They can run a moped and get it to them faster. So, I mean, they making it hard. Criminals always make things harder than they have to be. But you guys, you tell me what y'all thought of the video, and I will catch y'all in the next one. Bye, you guys.